It's not my birthday for a couple more months, but I feel like today is my birthday because I get to open so many fun packages and build something super amazing. This option of building the loft out of the do-it-yourself pieces from Critter Colony is going to be an exciting adventure for me. So we have, of course, the connectors and the bolts from the original cage that we saw. But then we also have this package of divider connectors. Now their divider accessory is designed for helping your new KVs bond with the KVs currently in your pack. These connectors add a piece that goes across the cage so that you can keep one KV, your new KV on one side and your current pack on the other, and they can get used to each other before you put them together. But what this connector does is adds a piece coming directly out in the center of two other pieces. And so I thought, why not use it to add the divider pack as a ceiling right here? It would be a floor for the second story. And then we can have panels going around. So we would need 2 floor panels, and then we need 6 panels going around the sides to protect the KVs from falling out of their loft. Critter Colony conveniently provides the 6-panel do-it-yourself pack. And then here we have the divider accessory pack. When I opened this up today, I was so excited to find another set of these stickers in here, and I decided to pull them out. And can you believe it? They're actually clear, and they are cut around the shape of the cute little KVs. And so I put Gary on a water bottle, and now I'm gonna put Misty and S'mores on a water bottle. And maybe black is not ideal. Oh, I bet. You can see Gary on this water bottle looking ultra cute. So black is not ideal, and a water bottle that has an ergonomic shape that changes from top to bottom is not ideal. If you have a straight sided water bottle, the sticker fits perfectly. If you have one that's more ergonomic, the sticker is going to wrinkle just a little bit. It does not make the KVs any less cute. I really appreciate Critter Colony's commitment to environmentally friendly packaging. A lot of the cardboard can be used for your KVs if you have a way to repurpose it, and there's very little plastic included in the packaging. So in our divider accessory pack, we have a little bit of spacing cardboard, then we have our 2 beautiful divider panels, and we have our hardware, which includes these special divider pieces that are T-shaped. So instead of using this divider panel vertically, like this, to divide our guinea pigs from each other, we're going to use it horizontally, like this, to make the floor of our loft. The important features on this panel that you can see are the holes in the same locations as the other standard panels for the habitat, but then we also have notches next to the holes on these 4 sides. And in order to make this habitat a floor instead of a wall, we're going to need to add notches here and here so that the panels can connect along the outside and the back side with those divider connectors. Earlier this morning, I attempted to cut the notches on this panel, and now I need to cut the notches on the second panel, so I will demonstrate for you how this is done so you can see. It's a little bit tricky, but it is super effective and it comes together really well. The key to knowing if your notch is cut out properly is our divider connector, which is your T-shape bracket. What you want is for the long piece to be the top of the T, and your short one that sticks down goes into the hole, and it slips in easily and it fits in that notch. So when I look at the cuts that I made earlier this morning, I need to be able to have this fit down inside and easily move into that notch space and have it be vertical. What we're going to do here is take a small piece of paper, and we want it to be square with the edges of our divider panel. So I'm going to use some masking tape to help hold the paper on there. want to try to get it perfectly square. We're going to use a tracing of the hole and the cutout on this corner as a pattern for when we cut out the other sides. So what you want to do is make sure that the tip of your pencil goes as far into the corner as possible and draws the actual edge of the cutouts and the circle. When you look at your divider panel, you'll see there are the words Guinea Colony written in one corner, and that you have notches on the two sides. So the side with Guinea Colony shows you the front right side up. If you can read it like this, what we would prefer to do is put our notches down on the bottom two slots instead of putting our notches on the top of the panel. When you may need to use this panel in the future as a actual divider bonding accessory, it will look nicer in your habitat if you have the notches at the bottom. So that is what I'm going to do. When you attach your pattern to the unnotched side of your divider panel, you'll want to make sure that the whole drawing you did lines up perfectly with the hole, and also that the edges of the paper are square with the panel. If you can get the hole and the edges lined up, when you put that on, you'll know you have it in the right place. Because of the thickness of the acrylic piece, it's a little bit tricky to show you that I do have that centered inside the circle. So I can show you like this, and then when I lay it down, it's going to look a little bit off, but it's because of the thickness of the piece and not because it is inaccurately placed. What we're going to do is use our box cutter and score along these three lines. And you want to score a little bit deeply. So the first time you might do a shallow score, and then you might go back over it several times to make a deep score. On this edge of both of these cuts, what we want to do is have a diagonal score that goes across the edge of the plastic this way, so that the blade of our saw that we use to cut into the back of these notches can get into the plastic. It needs a beginning place to bite. So make your score this direction, just a little bit deeper and wider. For the section across the back, I recommend using a straight edge. You want to only make scores where the plastic is going to be cut, because anywhere that you put a line into the acrylic, it weakens the integrity of the plastic. So I'm going to try to only score exactly from the mark I have over here to the mark I have over here. And again, cut several times so that it's a little bit deep into the plastic. We're now going to remove our template pattern, and we are going to use a saw to cut the sides of our groove along these two lines that we have here. Now I have a coping saw. It tends to have a finer and narrower blade. If your saw has a blade that's wide, it might be 1/8 of an inch wide, make sure that you saw a little bit further to the inside so that the blade of your saw isn't making the notch wider than it needs to be. I'm going to begin in that diagonal cut that I made on the edge here, and I'm going to quickly get my blade going straight so that it cuts directly into the acrylic, and there is not any extra diagonal cut made further into the acrylic than we need to go. We want to only have a cut to the back of this notch that we are intending to remove. Now we have our two cuts to the back of the notch. And what we'd like to do is flip this over, and we need to score across this side right here. We are going to use a hammer to tap on this and break this off. And we want a score mark on the top and the bottom. So I can feel my score mark on the bottom here. I cut at least 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 across that to make it nice and deep so that the plastic has a place where it says, this is my weakness, I'll break right here. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, cut several times across that same line, and then I'll show you how to line it up before you tap it. You need something with a nice sturdy square edge to go underneath here so that when the hammer taps on this edge, this piece right here is being supported. So your strong square edge underneath supports the acrylic all the way to here, and then you let this section hang off, this section hang off. So I'm going to use my countertop. Don't accidentally hit your granite countertop with a hammer and make a big hole in it. But you can see I'm lining up the back edge of my score marks exactly along the square edge of this top edge of my countertop. And so the countertop supports it all the way to the place where the notch is supposed to be cut out. And when I whack this with a hammer, it should just break cleanly off, hopefully. I'm going to start by tapping gently, and then I'm going to tap a little bit harder if I need to tap harder. Make sure it's lined up if it moves after each tap. So this is what happened on my other 2 that I did this morning. I got one part of it first, and then I can tap and get the other side. Okay, and I'll use the sandpaper or the saw blade to trim this part in the center to get it square. And I have sandpaper. My sandpaper is 150 grit. You can use probably just about anything. 35 might be too rough and make more scratches in it. But you want to make sure that the roughness of your sandpaper doesn't scratch the face of your acrylic pieces. You want to only have the sandpaper working inside the grooves where it was cut. Make sure that you sand everything off until it feels smooth to your fingers. You don't want to be able to run your fingers across and feel any sharp points. We want our guinea pigs to be well protected and very safe because everything has been smoothed out to them. This groove will look more like the factory made one in a few minutes after I've done some work on it. Experiment with the amount of pressure you need until it pops off. Well, this one happened to knock off significantly more of the plastic than where I scored. The other 2 that I did earlier this morning didn't knock off quite that much. The true test of your groove is putting this piece in and making sure that it fits. And right now mine does not fit in because my groove is not cut wide enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and either sand or cut it a little bit wider. So this is the factory made notch, and this piece just slips right in exactly where it belongs. It sits securely. It has a little bit of room to move in and out. It's easy. When you slide onto this one, it's likely to be just a little bit tight or maybe not even go in. And then you need to do a little bit more sanding to get it to be just the right size. After you've worked on it for a while, your piece will be able to slip in and fit in there really well. And then that piece, provided that it is completely smooth, is ready for use in the habitat. Here's the hardware you'll need for the first step of putting your loft together. we have 4 divider connectors from our extra hardware pack, and we have 4 divider connectors from our divider accessory pack, and 8 bolts. Now, these divider connectors are different if they're this way than if they're this way. So what we have is a flat acrylic handle that sticks out, and then we have this acrylic cylinder coming out of the top. You need to make sure that when you put these in your habitat, that the cylinder on this piece is not pointing down to the bottom. It has to be pointing up towards the top. We are going to put these in 8 different spots. We'll start here and work our way all the way around so that this end panel where our loft is going to be, each hole has a divider connector secured in it. For this section, you'll need 2 straight connectors and your pieces for the divider pack that have the extra notches cut out on the bottom of the panels. What we're going to do is put these side by side. You can see the Guinea colony words are face up, facing you. They're both in the same place on both sides. And we're going to connect these in the center like this. So use your straight connectors and 4 of your bolts and get those snapped together. I'm going to now lay this down in my floor, and these notches that we cut across the bottom need to face towards this long wall. And because we had the little cylinders facing up on each of these connectors, those cylinders will now go into a hole on each connector around the habitat. You can then put in your bolt and screw these on. We're now going to take our 8 bent connectors and put all of them onto 2 panels. So 4 will go on this panel on the holes closest to the center, the left side and the right side. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then grab another panel and do the same thing on this panel so that we have 8 bent connectors on these 2 panels. Now we're going to take this panel with the 4 corner pieces on it and make sure that these corner pieces are facing towards the wall of your loft. If these corner pieces are facing outside, there's going to be nothing to attach them onto, so you want them facing inside. You slide the holes, these bottom 2 holes, over the cylinders in the divider connectors, and then put a bolt through to hold them up. And do the same on the other side. Now we're going to take 2 straight connectors and connect 2 more panels here and here along the sides. Now you want to take your 2-panel wall that you put together, and we're going to attach it on the outside here. You'll need 8 bolts to attach this in. So now we need 1 more side to keep our cavies safe up there. We need 2 panels connected again, but there has to be a door somehow for the cavies to get inside. What I'm thinking is, what if this triangle of plastic right here didn't exist? Wouldn't that be the perfect door for our cavies to walk up the ramp and get inside the loft? Let's go see what we can do about cutting that away. So here's the triangle of plastic we want to cut out, and I'm just going to use some masking tape to mask off the lines where I want to cut so I can see better the shape of my door and the space that my piggies are going to have. Now down here I have a little bit of a conundrum or question. I think it's plenty of space for the piggies to get in between here. So maybe I should just cut like straight down from this one, and then I can use that to help hold this on the loft to provide extra support. I'm gonna cut on the outside of this piece of tape. So I want it to come from where the opening already is inside this hole. And you can see the tape is just inside the edge right there. And then I want to have about 1/2 inch here, like we've got about 1/2 inch here, so that I have approximately the same distance left outside the hole here as here. Earlier today, when I tried to make this break right here, instead of breaking on the line that I scored, it broke down a little further. And so in order to try to prevent that from happening this time, I'm going to just score the line a couple more times and make sure I have a nice diagonal score on the inside of these arches where I want it to break, and hope that that will help it to break on the score line. I've got this score mark laid right on the square edge of my countertop here. I'm going to try to apply significant pressure with my thumb right here to keep this section flat on the counter. And then I'm just gonna take this piece, which is kind of wiggly, and I'm just gonna snap it down. Da-da-da-da. Hey, 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 look at that, it worked. It snapped right where we wanted it to. Okay, sanding time. Yeah. In the event that your piece did not break properly, there are some options. You can attempt with a hammer again, pressing really hard. I'm a little bit concerned about it shattering up through the different directions that this is going, and so I'm gonna use a C-clamp to be a second thumb for me here to help hold. Now, you don't want to clamp this down really hard. You don't want to shatter the acrylic. You just want to provide pressure all the way across your score mark right there. So use your X-Acto knife or your utility knife again, and make sure you've got that scored really well on all the ends. I'm gonna press, and then let's, see? Now there's a little piece left on the left. Got that pretty well too. Okay, make sure that you use your sandpaper completely until every edge is smooth, every corner is not gonna tear a guinea pig's toe. I've got some work to do up here. I already smoothed this out. So as this connection is with the bent connector and this cut of this piece going in an angle this way, it pushes on this liner quite a bit. I'm sure the guinea pigs would be fine with it, but I would rather make this liner be able to lay flat, and I can just give the guinea pigs a little more space to walk through here. So what I think I'd like to do is cut the panel along this line. You can see the previous shape that we cut, keeping the hole for the connector. And if we just cut that off, I'd like to leave 3/4 inch or so on the bottom edge of this panel and then bring my line up this way. So I'm gonna use my coping saw, cut that off, and then come back and put this together properly. Once this is all completely smooth and safe, you're ready to attach it to the other wall panel and then add it on to your loft. Now it's really important that you make sure and get these last 4 bent connectors across this edge right here. These help hold up the wall, they protect your piggy's feet from getting pinched by this side, and it helps keep the integrity of the wall and floor together by having these bent connectors on. If you watched my video from 2 weeks ago, you may remember that I made a ramp to go up to this loft. I have now cut holes in it to match the hardware that's going to be in the way over here, so that I can lay this down inside the ramp before I put the wall on, and then it will be attached as part of the loft and ramp so that it won't come out. We have our handy dandy kitchen liners. And I believe that 2 of these will work to make our loft a safe place for our piggies to walk. Let's see if they can be hooked together. It's completely closed up on 2 sides. Cutout for the piggies to be able to walk in. And then I believe that these pee pads will fit really well to make a loft pad for the piggies.
I'm pretending he's a guinea pig. Wee, 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 wee. The end.
It looks like a hockey rink.
Mr. Director, may I have my box cutter?